The individual sought refuge in a natural ice cave formed by geothermal heat melting the glacier from below. This ice shelter provided insulation from extreme surface temperatures and protection from falling debris. Survival depended on melting ice for water, as volcanic activity can contaminate surface snow with toxic gases. The ice acted as a filter, trapping ash particles and providing relatively clean air compared to the outside atmosphere. This situation resembles survival strategies in other extreme environments, where insulation from elements is critical. The constant geothermal warmth created a stable microclimate, preventing the ice shelter from collapsing completely. Limited food supplies meant relying on minimal rations, with the body entering a conservation state. The psychological challenge of isolation in such conditions parallels documented cases of polar or space station survival. Stratovolcanoes, like the one in this event, are among the most dangerous types of volcanoes on Earth. Their danger comes from a combination of highly viscous, gas-rich magma and their steep, unstable slopes. This particular event occurred in a high-latitude, cold region, meaning the volcano was heavily glaciated. Glaciers on volcanoes create a uniquely hazardous environment, riddled with deep, hidden crevasses. The threat is twofold: the potential for a sudden, explosive eruption, and the immediate peril of the unstable glacial terrain. This combination makes rescue or survival efforts exceptionally difficult, as the ground itself can be a lethal trap. The mechanisms at play involve complex interactions between geothermal heat, melting ice, and structural instability. Compared to other natural disasters, volcanic glacial environments present a continuous, multifaceted danger that requires constant vigilance. The guide, an experienced researcher intimately familiar with the mountain's terrain, found themselves trapped as conditions deteriorated. The volcano's transition into an eruptive phase initiated a cascade of simultaneous, overlapping hazards. First came the ashfall, a dense, abrasive cloud that reduces visibility to near zero and can cause respiratory failure. This was followed by pyroclastic flows, superheated avalanches of gas, ash, and rock that race down slopes at hundreds of kilometers per hour. The most destructive force, however, is often the lahar, a volcanic mudflow. Lahars form when volcanic material mixes with water from melting ice or heavy rainfall, creating a concrete-like slurry. These flows can travel vast distances from the volcano, sweeping away bridges, buildings, and entire landscapes with immense force. For anyone on the mountain, the combined effect of these phenomena transforms the entire surface into an unsurvivable environment. The survivor faced a desperate choice: certain death from volcanic flows, or the unknown dangers of glacial ice. Glacial crevasses form as ice flows over uneven terrain, creating deep fractures that can extend hundreds of feet. Ice caves within glaciers occur when meltwater carves passages through the ice, creating temporary shelters. The immediate threat was pyroclastic flow, superheated gas and volcanic debris that can reach temperatures over 1,000 degrees C. Glacial ice provides insulation against extreme external temperatures, though hypothermia remains a constant risk. This decision represents a classic survival calculation: immediate known danger versus delayed unknown hazards. The ice structure would have offered physical protection from falling ash and airborne debris. Such survival scenarios follow documented patterns where environmental extremes force unconventional shelter choices. Inside the glacier, temperatures consistently remained at or below freezing, creating a hostile environment for survival. Hypothermia presented the primary immediate threat, as prolonged exposure to such temperatures can cause rapid loss of core body heat. Air quality within the confined glacial space became another critical concern. With limited ventilation and potential oxygen depletion, the survivor possessed only basic gear intended for a single day's climb, not for extended survival in extreme conditions. This limited equipment included some food, a stove, a sleeping bag, and basic tools. Minimal resources for what became an extended ordeal. The mismatch between preparation and circumstance highlights how quickly routine activities can become survival situations. In such environments, even well-equipped expeditions face significant challenges with temperature regulation and resource management. The combination of freezing temperatures, air quality concerns, and limited supplies created a compounding survival challenge. The 47-day timeline created a severe caloric deficit that required careful management. Rationing minimal food supplies became essential for survival during this extended period. This level of caloric restriction is comparable to extreme survival situations documented in wilderness expeditions. The body's metabolic adaptation to prolonged starvation involves conserving energy and breaking down fat reserves. Such endurance challenges test both physical resilience and psychological fortitude over weeks of deprivation. The strategy involved precise calculation of daily intake to maximize the limited resources available. This approach mirrors survival techniques used in documented cases of extended isolation or resource scarcity. Psychological stamina was critical for survival in this extreme environment. The survivor faced profound isolation, cut off from all communication with the outside world. Constant volcanic noise created a relentless auditory assault that could wear down mental resilience. Uncertainty about rescue or external conditions added psychological pressure to the physical challenges. Maintaining the ice shelter's structural integrity required constant monitoring and adjustments. Volcanic tremors and ground shaking threaten the shelter's stability, requiring immediate response to prevent collapse. The precise location of this survival event remains undocumented in official records. No verified identity exists for the individual who endured these conditions, leaving their story anonymous. Glaciers are often mistakenly portrayed as static, silent chambers of ice. In reality, they are complex, active systems under constant internal stress. This internal pressure can cause sudden fracturing and collapse of ice structures. During a volcanic eruption, these hazards are dramatically amplified. Rapid melting can trigger catastrophic floods, known as geothermal sloughs. The environment becomes a volatile mix of floodwater, ice debris, and volcanic material. This combination creates one of the most dangerous natural settings on Earth. The ice could fracture or collapse under pressure, creating sudden hazards. Alternatively, it could become sealed, trapping individuals in confined spaces with limited oxygen. A common misconception is that lava posed the primary threat during volcanic events. In reality, ash inhalation presented a more immediate danger, capable of causing respiratory failure. The Lahars' deadly mudflows of volcanic debris and water could bury entire areas without warning. Survivors then faced prolonged challenges: starvation due to destroyed food sources, and extreme cold from climate disruption. The exact rescue methods remain unclear in documented records, lacking dramatic escape details. Only the outcome is certain. Through unknown means, some individuals survived these compound disasters. This account underscores non-negotiable principles for wilderness and hazard survival. First, shelter in place can be a valid strategy when evacuation corridors are compromised, but it requires specific, protective geography. In this case, the insulating and protective quality of massive ice. This principle applies to various survival scenarios where movement poses a greater immediate threat than staying put. Second, it highlights the critical importance of carrying emergency essentials, even for short trips in extreme environments. These essentials include a means of water procurement, insulation, and a heat source. Each item addresses a core physiological need that becomes critical within hours in freezing conditions. The failure to prepare with these basics is a common factor in many documented survival incidents. Together, these takeaways form a foundational protocol for managing risk in remote, hazardous terrain. This hierarchy of survival needs is a universal principle in disaster scenarios. First comes immediate protection from acute threats like pyroclastic flows, which are superheated avalanches of gas and volcanic debris. Once safe from the initial blast, maintaining a stable core body temperature becomes critical to prevent hypothermia or hyperthermia. Securing a water source follows, as dehydration can disable cognitive and physical functions within days. The search for food is a longer-term concern, as the human body can subsist on stored energy for a significant period. In this case, prior knowledge of glacial terrain was the ultimate survival tool. This expertise allowed the survivor to identify a potential refuge, like an ice cave or a protective overhang, where others might only see a lethal trap. It demonstrates that adapting to the hostile environment itself, even when it is the source of the catastrophe, can be the key to enduring it.